John, we're going to start the conversation off this evening with, is it time to give credit to Tommy Rees? Is it time to give Tommy Rees some credit for what he's been doing here with this Alabama offense? I understand there are times where when somebody isn't doing what they need to do, we normally hit them with the criticism. But when they get it together and they start exceeding and they start excelling and they start performing well, now we got to give them the kudos and the credit and the congratulations. And it started to look like Saban is looking smart. Saban's looking really good for making this hire here of Tommy Rees, because in the offseason, the conversation was, can Alabama get, a fresh, hot shot, young name that's creative, innovative, knows offense, especially after 2 years with Bill O'Brien? So there was Garrett Riley out there, Lincoln Riley's brother. There was Jeff Lebby out there. There was Chip Long out there. There were several different names out there that Alabama could have gotten, right? But it chose to roll the dice on 30-year-old Tommy Rees, who played at Notre Dame, was a quarterback from 2010 to, I believe, 2013. Then a few years later, he comes back. He's a quarterback coach for the Irish from 2017 to 2020, or 2017 to 2019, and then he's the offensive coordinator for the Irish from 2020 to 2022. Now, granted, we don't know in those 3 years how many of those years he actually called the plays. We don't know. What we do know is when you make a transition from Brian Kelly to arguably the greatest coach to ever do it in Nick Saban, there's a growing pain, right? There's a growing pain, there's a learning curve, there's a process that has to happen. You just don't get to Alabama and overnight, boom, no. There is a process that happens when you get to Coach Saban. So Tommy Rees, much like these 4- and 5-star young athletes, he's learning Nick Saban too. So it took him, some time. And you go back to the Tennessee game prior to the bye week, Tommy was starting to implement some stuff. He was finally starting to ditch the Notre Dame playbook and rock with Bama. You see what I'm saying? We saw the misdirection plays come out. We saw the motions and the jet sweeps and the pop passes and, getting the window dressing eye candy to force defenses to really think and look at stuff. We start to see that against Tennessee. Well, against LSU, boy, he pulled the whole puppy out. Tommy Rees pulled it all out against LSU. His best game of the season. His best game he called of the season against LSU. I mean, John, I don't know if you saw this, but the very first possession, what did Tommy Rees do? He came out with 2 guys in the backfield in shotgun flanking Jalen Milroe. We hadn't seen that all season. Like, whoa, that's different. He had Jace McClellan and Kendrick Law flanking Jalen Milroe in the backfield. We didn't see that all year prior to the LSU game. And then we saw a lot of misdirection, a lot of motion, a lot of sending guys around, a lot of eye candy, a lot of window dressing, a lot of, we're going to make LSU think. They're already undermanned, but we're going to make them think now. And boy, oh boy, you want to talk about Kendrick Law got involved, Kobe Prentice got involved, Jalen Milroe using the feet. I mean, the play calling of Tommy Rees allowing Jalen Milroe to trust his feet. The balance of it all, I think Alabama had over 200 yards rushing, 200 yards passing. The team 11 for 14 on third down. You talk about efficiency there. Tommy Rees called it. Called the best game of the season to this point. Did a phenomenal job. His second game of the season against an SEC team where he put up 40-plus points. The first one was Mississippi State where Bama put up 40. They beat the Bulldogs 40-17. And here's a game where, what was the question? Could Bama win a shootout, right? That was the big question. Could Tommy Rees have this offense win a shootout against an LSU team that entered the matchup averaging 47.4 points per game? LSU entering this matchup with the quarterback in Jayden Daniels, who was in big talk for the Heisman conversation. LSU, who entered this game with two marquee wide receivers in Malik Neighbors and Brandon Thomas Jr. The question, and Brian Thomas Jr., excuse me. The question was, could Alabama win in a shootout? And in a mini shootout, Tommy Rees said, all right, game on. I can do it. And he did it. 42 points. Tommy Rees had this offense put on the board. 42. And the big thing here, folks, I mentioned this, his play calling, Jalen Milroe using the legs. Jalen Milroe using the feet. I understand he's talked about, I'm a passer, I want to be a point guard with the football, but sometimes when you have a special, athletic, God-given ability, son, just use it. And boy, did he use it. 17 carries, John, I think for 155 yards, 4 touchdowns. Milroe, not Jalen Hurts, not Tua Tagovailoa, not Bryce Young, not Blake Sims. Jalen Milroe becomes the first quarterback in Alabama history to total 4 rushing touchdowns in a single game. Was out there doing it with his feet, had a good day also with his arm. 15 for 23, passing for 219 yards. Now, the only bad throw that Milroe had was one where he's trying to run it. Isaiah Bond comes wide open, like wide Mack truck open, and Jalen just airmailed him. And Isaiah Bond just goes, bro, really? And Jalen's like, that's me, my bad, that's me, I blew that, I airmailed that. That was the one bad throw. That was the one bad throw when you look at Milroe and you say, son, we got to have that one. That's what you got to have. But aside from that, played well. Aside from that, he gives you 219 passing. He gives you $155 rushing. He gives you 4 touchdowns. The play call of Tommy Rees, magnificent in the ball game. And then here's the most under the radar stat. James Burnham had 1 punt. Reese's play call was so good, he didn't even need the punter. Burnham got 1 punt. He got a chance to rest. Burnham averages 5 punts a game. He only had 1. And it came in the first quarter, 50-yard boomer that pinned LSU inside the 15-yard line. Burnham had 1 punt. Once again, Bama was 11 for 14 on 3rd downs. And the only 3 they didn't convert, one was a punt by Burnham. The other 2, unfortunately, Will Reichert missed field goals. That's not like Reichert. That's not like Will. I think Andy Papanastis dressed up as Will and went out there. That ain't Reichert. That ain't Reichert. So Reichert will return against Kentucky. I know that's not Will. I know Reichert. So the real him will return against Kentucky. That was Andy Papanastis in a Reichert suit. I know Andy P in a Reichert suit when I see that. But Reichert will return against Kentucky. But big job by Tommy Rees. Big job. He had a lot of doubters, a lot of critics, came out, coordinated the best game of his season against LSU. Can he take this and build on it and do it again Saturday against Kentucky? That's the question.